Good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the morning dump. I am your host, Jose. Just realized I had it on the wrong audio setting. Let's try that again. Hello, welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the morning dump. I am your host, Jose Galison, and this is Phoebe. She's a big old mama here. She's one of the two moms right now, has young litters. Actually, there's a third litter of a really younger kitty. But the two in the main kitty room, she's one of the mamas, Phoebe. She's a big heckin' honker. You can see her. She's a big, sweet girl. But she's a good mama. We're going to let her go back to her mama, or back to her kitties. But if you like seeing my hot takes Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern, that's the goal. Obviously, we didn't get there today. Oh, or if you just want to see more of the kitties of the day, then be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell to get notifications, and we'll see you in the show.
Beautiful thing, right now.
Rise and shine, it's a beautiful day. I am alright.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
This is the bridge to white lies.
Our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
And at that point, we were taken for another round of questioning, this time related to our allegedly being members of Mossad.
Crazy evil.
Good morning. It's November 18th, Tuesday morning. It's my first dump of the week with you guys. I wasn't here yesterday. I'm sorry. Picked up a shift. May do that for the next few weeks and then maybe go back to 5 days after that. They just need a little help over at work and figure why not get a few buckaroos. Unless you guys, once again, you guys are always welcome to make it so it becomes retarded for me to go to work. I'm all for you guys giving me more money. So if you want to do that, there's the QR code over there. We actually have been an hour dropping one of the typically paywalled episodes. Usually I paywall them for about a week or two. The first in my series on a program to kill, kind of go into some of these smaller format type episodes that should be dropping here in an hour. Let me know what you guys think of that, but that's something you guys get if you pay up. But yeah, it's a beautiful Monday morning. I got a little workout in today, so I'm having a productive morning. I hope you guys are as well. We're going to keep down that trend or get started for those who haven't gotten on that train yet. We got plenty to talk through about today. First topic of the day, Trump taking D's and L's. A little bit of a play on words. That'll jump back and forth. As always with the show, how we typically open the show up is with what I call the Icebreaker stories or clips. And that's just kind of a grab bag of fun, funny, or gen pop type stuff. Stuff that kind of the general person, the normies, are abuzz about. And Trump sucking Bill Clinton's dick is one of those things. And we'll definitely cover that in the morning show. And I couldn't help but make it a little play on words for our first topic. After that, obviously, we go into our icebreaker, then we go into our foreign policy, and then we get to the main topics. The first main topic being Trump taking D's and L's. We'll have already covered whether or not he did suck the Bill Clinton dick earlier. We'll be going more into kind of the absolute calamity that the Trump administration has become. We'll get into foolish feds, which is a grouping of different Fed stories of them being silly goose. Their compatriots are glowing about and pointing those out. For example, we'll be once again pointing to the abysmal failure of the pipe bomb story as it continues to explode, to vanish before our very eyes. Then we also have Dissecting the Epstein drops. I mean, there's been so much Epstein stuff, so we're just kind of on the back end. Take a little time, dig through some of these different Epstein drops. There's more to dig through. There's plenty that happened over the weekend and yesterday that we're gonna dig through. I know we all got the Epstein fatigue, but man, it just is a gift that does not keep giving, and it really is quite the window behind the veil of what's going on. But all right, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into some icebreaker type stuff. Then we'll say our good mornings, and then we'll get into foreign policy. let's go ahead and get into first story of the day. We now finally have Disney's first openly gay character. They're getting ready to do Zootopia 2, and here is I guess they're going to have a beaver in this next one. It's this broad right here. Never would have pegged her for a gay. And a beaver. What a fun character to pick for your first lesbian character. A beaver. So Zootopia. They sure know how to pick them. Although I feel like every year we get this, oh my God, they're going to have the first openly gay character in Disney or some kid something or other. Is it though? I feel like almost half the time it's like, oh, well, it sort of was if you like read between the lines, or if you like read our like pre-release book that sort of alludes to maybe this one character kind of being a fruitcake. Like, it doesn't really ever usually say it. Not that I really want them in a Disney movie to be like, hello, I'm a homosexual. But I don't know. It just seems weird. So we'll find out if this is an openly gay character. Are we just supposed to assume because it's a woman and a beaver being played by a very clear lesbian? I don't know. But we'll find out as they continue their endeavor to trans your kids. Just kidding. I don't know. I mean, whatever. All right. Next story. The world is healing. Now we have Nicki Minaj is going ready to speak at the UN for the Trump administration. This was sent out by TMZ. I have no intent on actually looking into the weeds of this and seeing what truth there is to this, because I feel like that would just corrupt the funny. But yes, as of now, I'm going to just go ahead. My reality is that Nicki Minaj is going to the UN to speak for the Trump administration. This is the world that we are in. All right, on to the next one. I just thought this was fun. We'll be talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene a little bit today. I just thought this person really laid it out really well. Some account Women for Trump really, and I guess a few people are upset. The Trump MAGA people. We'll get into today. There's a MTG Trump rift growing, and there's some people not doing a very good job trying to slander Marjorie Taylor Greene. Here's a photo with person Women for Trump saying she'd be a good liberal, and they took Marjorie Taylor Greene and gave her blue hair and tattoos and all the like. And I guess the idea behind it be like, oh, look, now it's just a stupid low tier MAGA. Oh, she has blue hair. And I think this person laid out very well. Essentially, why the hell would you make Marjorie Taylor Greene even more awesome? He says, Republicans really do not understand the nuances of style, because it's not pronouns like blue hair. This is like a 42-year-old rockabilly tattoo artist who, albeit likes gay people and abortion, but says the R word and has an edgelord conservative boyfriend. Yeah, like, this is a woman in today's age that says the N word to people that like she's cool with, but like she in public she doesn't. Like, this is the kind of person that we're dealing with. I just think it's funny that it just feels like they're losing the moment. It's slipping away. And I don't know. They thought it was a good idea to take what was before a like a debatable would to like, damn, she's looking fucking pretty goddamn cute. But maybe that's just me speaking. Maybe that's just my type. If any of you guys saw my wife, you know where I was coming from. Moving on, Icebreaker. We're getting a little bit more serious. Kind of playing off similar topics we talked about last week with Megyn Kelly and the. Oh, well, they're not a pedophile. It's a phoebe-phile or a pederast or whatever the fuck of the different hyper-specific types of pedophiles there are. Well, here's Durst jumping on that train along with Megyn Kelly. Let's hear what he has to say.
Well, let me give you an example. 10 minutes before you went on, the predecessor on your show described Jeffrey Epstein as a convicted pedophile. He pleaded guilty to one count of having sex for money with a 17-year and 10-month-old person. That's not pedophile. Well, let me give you an example. 10 minutes before you...
So here he is, the whole, apparently, I guess he pled guilty to one count of having sex with a 17-year-old and a 10-month-old. I feel, especially given the context, as there's a ton of other women involved in this, I'm pretty safe. I feel pretty comfortable calling this person a pedophile. Now, I guess to be fair, I guess like perhaps if this was some crazy thing, like say example like the Matt Gaetz thing, I don't know enough about the specifics, but obviously the good faith interpretation, if you're trying to not see Matt Gaetz as a pedophile, is some like girl who was like 17 and some change. she had some sort of fake ID that was actually gotten for her by this other guy who was intentionally trying to trick him or some shit. And apparently they supposedly slept together. So now that was like, okay, this is someone who's actively trying to trick you. A little bit of a different story. I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and go with Epstein is a pedophile. All right, let's go ahead and get into the last one. The last one here, kind of the old Trump sucking off Bill Clinton. Funny thing, I actually heard about this from my kid. That's how I found about this. Obviously, didn't put it quite in those terms, but she said, my 13-year-old, this is what the kids are talking about these days. They go, did you know that Trump sucked out, or no, she didn't say suck. How did you say that he did gay stuff with the ex-president? I was like, what? How the hell do you know that? Oh, this is what they're talking about. This is where I hear these things all the time from my kid. These funny, what she thinks these hilarious things. So just know that the kids think that Trump is out there gargling cock, and that is hilarious to me. But what am I talking about here? For those who aren't aware, well, we'll dig into it. This is one of these emails, the numerous emails that have dropped in the past, week or so. But let's take a little bit in this one. This is over at Headline USA. So this is an email from Jeffrey Epstein's brother, and it's about the Trump blowing Bubba, is what the email said. So let's get a little bit into this. This is a newly released email. Sorry, my voice cracked. That was weird. This is from Ken Silva, by the way, over at Headline USA. It's a newly released email from deceased sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein's brother, Mark Epstein, has taken the internet by storm for its salacious suggestion that Putin has the photos of Trump blowing Bubba. A comment that President Donald Trump gave a blowjob to former President Bill Clinton. But Mark Epstein says the email is not what it sounds like. It says, recently, emails from 2018 between my brother and me were made public. They were simply part of a humorous private exchange between two others and were never meant for public release to be interpreted as serious remarks, Mark said in a Saturday press release. Now let's look through these emails real quick. So bring this up real quick. Let's look through the email. What are we talking about here? So I think we have to start from the bottom with these. It says, how are you doing? A while back you mentioned you were pre-diabetic. Has anything changed with that? What is your boy Donald up to? It says, all good, Bannon with me. Ask him if Putin has the photos of Trump blowing Bubba. It says, and I thought I had Surus. I don't know what that means. You and your boy Donnie can make a remake of the movie Get Hard. Sent via tin can and string. And it says, you mean Donnie T? And it says, I'd rather be in Donnie D's shoes, which I don't know the specifics, those ins and outs. Those are probably highly inside jokes, some of that. But I cannot help but notice, obviously, some of the homoerotic language there. Get hard. I mean, come on. It's just spelling itself out. And he said Trump blowing Bubba. So then a lot of people are jumping to the Bubba meaning Bill Clinton. I guess that was some nickname of his. To be honest, I was not aware, but that's what everyone's saying. All right, continuing on here. It says, for the avoidance of doubt, the reference to Bubba in this correspondence is not in any way a reference to former President Bill Clinton. Any attempt to conflate that reference with President Clinton or to read sweeping implications into them misrepresents both the purpose and the tone of the original correspondence. The emails in question are from March 2018. On March 19th of that year, Mark emailed Jeffrey to ask how he was doing. What is your boy Donald up to now? Mark asked, to which Jeffrey replied, all good, Bannon with me. Jeffrey's response was apparently referencing MAGA commentator Steve Bannon. It prompted Mark to tell Jeffrey, ask him if Putin has the photos of Trump blowing Bubba. Says Jeffrey then responded by saying, I thought I had Surus, a Yiddish word for aggravation. Mark further joked, you and your boy Donnie can make a remake of the movie Get Hard. You mean Donnie T? Jeffrey responded. The email exchange, released as part of a trove of documents from the House Oversight Committee, sparks widespread speculation online. Conservative streamer Nick Fuentes, himself the subject of rumors of homosexuality, made light of the matter. He said he thinks Trump probably didn't actually blow Bubba, but the president's chosen YMCA theme song doesn't inspire confidence. The signs were there. His anthem is the YMCA by the Village People. That's crazy. Actually, let's watch Nick say this because it'll be funny. Give me a second. Of course, StreamYard's being goofy, so I got to bring it up and bring it down and bring it back up to get to work. But I think it'll be worth it for the laugh before we move on to good mornings and foreign policy. So let's let's hear it for Nick. Let's see what he has to say. Get a little laugh before we move on to the serious stuff.
Headmaster69 sent $20. Really unfortunate that Trump has been outed as gay. This is definitely worse than if he had sex with some teenage girl. Do you think he's a top or bottom?
Well, all they said is that he blew Bill Clinton. So does that count as top or bottom? I don't think that counts. So I don't know. I don't think that's real. It is funny though. The idea, well, hey, the signs were there. What's his fucking anthem? His anthem is the YMCA by the Village People. That's crazy that like diehard Trump supporters called me gay. And then they went to the RNC where he was dancing with the Village People to the YMCA on stage. Like self-awareness much? But yeah, that's crazy. I don't know. But he doesn't seem... But who knows, you know, when we go to Epstein Island, what happens on the island stays on the island. You never know, right?
Headmaster69.
So I don't choose your own reality. That's where we're at now. Is to Trump suck off dudes? I don't know. I think it's more funny to think he did, but we don't know. All right, let's roll through, say our good mornings. Then we'll get into some foreign policy stuff, and then we'll get on to the main stuff. Good morning, Retardo. Good morning, good morning, good morning, Tom33. That's good. Good morning, Chaco Ho. Good morning, Knife Safety Plus says free bubbles. Yeah, I only raped, bitch. What's the issue? Good morning, Tillo Spook. Good morning, Fred 44. Good morning, Gautis. Good morning, Jacob. Rise to Liberty. It's funny. I think it was Friday. I'd have a complete for some reason, it never occurred to me that my producer Jacob and then Jacob Winograd are both Jacobs. And for some reason, they're both in the stream, and then one was Jacob. And somehow my mind broke, and I just was like trying to think of the other one's name, and I was like, but I just said Jacob, so he's not Jacob. And it was a complete mind fuck, and I had too many different things going on at once, and just kind of like when when you try to get a computer to do something that's not in his program. It's that's what happened there. Good morning, Comment Mama. Good morning, Jay Tunnels. That's a fun name. Good morning, Marnamac. Good morning. Tom says, do you have a quit my job for good number of patrons in mind? I don't really have like a number, I guess. I don't know. I mean, like, I could do that. It feels weird to do that, though, but like, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I don't have like a specific number. I guess like obviously once my patron, I can tell you right now if it like doubled, I for sure wouldn't be doing this anymore, or it wouldn't go in. It wouldn't make sense. So like the patron numbers at least wise. So I don't know. It's roughly double, give or take. I don't know. I mean, it really depends because it's I don't know. We'll see. Good morning, Uncle Ted. I'm trying to think of like a number I could give you. I know obviously the grifty thing is to be like make up a number. I don't know. I don't feel like doing that gay shit. Give me money if you want to. Don't if you don't. Okay. I mean, I guess I should probably come with some grifty number or amount or something. Maybe we'll do that sometime. But it would be nice to never have to go into work again. That'd be great. But it's not that big of a deal. I kind of like working. I got to plug in my headphones. Just kind of do my thing. It's a pretty physical job. Just go to town and then go home. I don't know. It's nice every now and then. Keeps me in touch with the world, I think. So, Uncle Ted, good morning. Says people saying OKC was PatCon is wrong. PatCon was just a domestic cutout for the CIA to achieve the real mission. No one ever says that makes it all make sense. No one ever says that makes it so. No one's just a domestic cutout for the CIA. I mean, I think you're oversimplifying it, but you're like kind of right. I mean, PatCon was basically, from my recollection, like a JTTF a type of operation. So it was like a joint task force thing. Like if you get really into the weeds of like aberration, you're kind of sort of correct. Like obviously it's like, it looks like that to me, but like, yeah, I get what you mean. It's kind of probably a little bit of both to some extent. I don't know if it's like directly like a CIA thing in that sense, but yeah, I get what you mean. Good morning, Tony Chin. Good morning. Good morning, King David. Good morning, Fire Pixie. He says, remember Sicario, when the CIA needs the feds to work domestically, that's what they use PatCon for. Yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you. I just think maybe that might be oversimplifying it. But yeah, basically, yeah. Good morning, Mustache. Good morning. Good to have you with us. Good morning, PJR. Good morning. Common One says, back in my day, Bert and Ernie lived together as closet roommates like normal. Yup. Good morning, JC. Good to have you here. Good to see you. Good morning, MTG. Uncle Ted says MTG fucks Amazon style. She gets you pregnant. Yeah, she's a cute gorilla. That's for goddamn sure. Good morning, Justin Valentine says age of consent is 16 in my state. That's a hell of a way to announce your presence here in the live chat. Good morning, Justin. It says, rights deliberately. The very fact you have to qualify the 10-month part is very pedophilic. Yeah, not a very good look. Tom says, I don't think Matt is a pedo necessarily, but he's a pervert scumbag. If you cheat on your wife, you shouldn't be in Was he cheating on his wife, though? I feel like that was before his wife, because I think that was pretty early on. I don't know when he married his wife, like some that supposed stuff. So I think even so far as, like, obviously, like, he was... I think it's basically showing he was doing drugs and, you know, gallivanting about. So, like, probably not the best thing for some bachelor fucking politician to do. But, I mean, I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, obviously he's paid the price for it. He's not the fucking AG. Good morning, John Doe. So it seems like the misinfo factory is busy keeping all the slaves distracted by all these stories being floated about. Yeah, it does definitely seem like they're flooding the fields. Hard to try to figure out, hard to parse what should be looked into, what shouldn't. Luckily, I do this 4 to 5 days a week, so we have plenty of time. Little did they know, they're fucked. They can't flood the field. I will unfucking flood it. Very homo sounding, says Marna Mac. Who's not a little gay with the boys, though? Yeah. Am I covering the new water referendum? Yeah, catch that at the end. Stick around. We'll get there. I'm getting a request for a cooking show. No. Good morning, Jake Moore. Says, while Trump possibly being an ashamed butt pirate is preferable to a kid diddler, it doesn't make covering for the diddling. As I've been saying, I think Trump is a kid diddler, and probably a cockstroker as well, possibly. Apparently GPT is censoring Epstein files, says Jacob. I did not know that. That's interesting. Good morning, Nemo Liberty. Good to see you. Appreciate the bump. All right, let's go ahead and get into foreign policy. Let's see. Ooh, got a good amount of people in there. Be sure to hit the like button. I see a good amount of y'all in here. Still pretty early in the show. Help boost this motherfucker up. Let's get into the foreign policy stuff of the day. A little bit from yesterday, too, since I wasn't here. But Trump says U.S. may be having discussions with Venezuela's Maduro. It's from Dave Camp over at antiwar.com. Says President Trump said on Sunday the U.S. may be having discussions with Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, suggesting his administration has not entirely cut off diplomacy with Caracas, as previous reports have said. Trump made the comments when asked about Secretary of State Marco Rubio's announcement the State Department would be designated the so-called Cartel de las Soles, or Cartel of the Suns, as a foreign terrorist organization, though the group doesn't actually exist. The term Cartel of the Suns was first used in the 1990s, before Maduro's predecessor Hugo Chavez came to power, to describe the two Venezuelan military generals with sun insignias in their uniforms who were involved in the drug trade. One of the generals was working with the CIA at the time, according to a 1993 60 Minutes report. So catch that little detail, because, I mean, like, you can kind of read between the lines. It's funny that now they're doing this whole Cartel de las Soles shit, and it's like what they have to point to of this whole Cartel de las Soles at all is that some of these military members have, like, suns on their things or whatever. And the only implication of this being legit that we know of is it seems like they were probably helping out drugs back in the day, back in the old Contra days. So, yeah, it's kind of funny, the little bit of hypocrisy now. They're like, oh my God, you guys are narco-terrorists. Like, bitch, this was your plan. And it doesn't really look like that, I don't know, who knows? I don't know. That might still be going on, but it's ridiculous on its face when you, like, kind of understand the dynamic of everything going on. Today, the term is used to describe Venezuelan military and government officials who allegedly profit from drug trafficking, but the Cartel of the Suns doesn't exist as a structured organization. Regardless of the reality, the U.S. claims that Maduro is the leader of the Cartel of the Suns, signaling it will use the terror designation as a pretext to target him. Trump was asked if the designation could justify the U.S. targeting Maduro assets or infrastructure inside Venezuela, and claimed that it allows us to do that. though any military action without congressional authorization would be illegal under the Constitution. Trump suggested that the U.S. and Venezuela are talking. It allows us to do that, but I haven't said we're going to do that, and we may be having some discussions with Maduro. We'll see how that turns out. But they would like to talk, he told reporters. So a little bit of a good sign, a little bit of a mixed bag. I also thought it'd be kind of fun to pair this story with this other story. This is from Boltzmann Booty, a good follow. I highly recommend. Here is him sharing this tweet from Ben Norton, and I'll read this to you. This is a big loss for the U.S. empire. This is Ecuador's Trump-backed right-wing oligarch President Noboa tried to rewrite the country's progressive constitution to allow U.S. military bases in his territory. 61% of Ecuadorians voted against his proposal. They don't want military or foreign military bases. So this guy's obviously a little bit bummed. Oh, boo-hoo. Well, I guess the Ecuadorians said, fuck that. A large part of them said, don't want that shit. But it is kind of funny. I mean, especially for those. I mean, we haven't covered it enough on this show, but a lot of the craziness going on with Argentina and some of the crazy, the aid stuff going on, that plays into the political part, like blatant, like, oh, we're paying off political people that we like, and if you don't win, we're not doing. Just kind of crazy, over the top sort of stuff. In the same time, we have this going on, and then I think you'll see in a moment as Booty's about to kind of I don't know, make very visceral for us here what I'm trying to describe. Here he says, we would have had Green Berets down there protecting guys hauling around crates of Noboa bananas filled with cocaine. For now, they're stuck with the CIA and Mossad operatives that are already down there protecting guys hauling around crates of Noboa bananas filled with cocaine. And then more to that, here's a tweet he posted a while back on the president of Ecuador, saying that the president of Ecuador is a CIA and Mossad asset already. Here's an excerpt from an article. It says, the next morning, a car picked me up before dawn and sped me to a VIP airport to accompany the president on one of the drug raids that his security forces had been carrying out. Noboa arrived soon afterward in a convoy of black Suburbans. Traveling with him was like taking part in a small-scale military operation. He moved under close guard from his motorcade to the presidential jet or a presidential helicopter. When he got out of a vehicle, bodyguards unfurled bulletproof screens to protect him from potential snipers. At stops, dozens of security men formed tightly choreographed cordons overseen by an elite military unit and private security guards, including a laconic Israeli named Rafi. In a moment of indiscretion, Noboa disclosed that he received intelligence and security cooperation from the CIA and Mossad. So isn't that a little fun little excerpt? I mean, I think if we really wanted to surmise what actual narco-terrorists look like, perhaps they would look more like this. Here's more. It says in Ecuador, the Noboa Group is another excerpt. Noboa Group controls the entire banana cultivation and export supply chain, which raises questions about how much is beyond their supervision. The Noboa family owns the land where the fruit is grown, the containers, the company responsible for making the packaging for export, and even the cargo ships. Ecuadorian Line, a shipping company, is a fundamental part of the business group and exports to several European ports. It said 50% of the banana containers leaving Guayaquil reportedly arrive in Europe with drugs. So, more to my point. The majority of the world's cocaine passes through Ecuadorian ports. Here's some excerpts from the BBC. It says, tracking the world's major cocaine route to Europe and why it's growing. It says, despite Ecuador not producing the drug, 70% of the world's cocaine now flows through its ports. Ecuadorian President Daniel Noboa says it is smuggled into the country from neighboring Colombia and Peru, the world's two largest producers of cocaine. But meanwhile, we're trying to set things up with these guys. Don't forget that. The banana industry of Ecuador, the world's leading producer of bananas, is owned by the Noboas, and the Ecuadorian banana industry is a direct vehicle for the largest cocaine export operation in the world. It's a narco state in the most literal sense. So yeah, literally, this is a narco terrorist. I mean, this thread just keeps on going. Let's keep going, I guess. Fuck it. Jose Antonio Hidalgo, executive director of the Association of Banana Exports of Ecuador, said that banana exports represent 66% by volume of the country's total non-oil exports. Yeah, they're just really slinging bananas. Also, RFK Jr., who used to sell drugs, including cocaine, has been close friends with the Noboa family for decades and got to be Noboa's special invited guest at the Ecuadorian presidential inauguration. It says, imagine how efficient at trafficking cocaine you could be with Palantir helping you optimize everything. They're going to revolutionize drug trafficking, baby. And then he's sharing a post saying cocaine trafficking CIA/Mossad asset president of Ecuador partners with Palantir. So sharing a tweet, kind of an announcement saying they're officially partnering. So yeah, this is the future. Also, it's pretty likely Noboa himself has had direct involvement in the cocaine stuff since he used to manage shipping and logistics for the family company. So this is literally mob shit right here. Probably during the period when the CIA was trying to install his dad as ruler of the Ecuador. So I guess it's kind of literally a generational thing. Just this is narco-terrorism. So, all right, let's move on. Trump considers skipping disarmament phase of Gaza plan amid deadlock. That's going to be important to this next story that we're going to go into. But yes, there's murmurs they're talking about with this upcoming peace deal they're still working on, the details with the whole Gaza stuff. Part of this was supposed to be disarmament. One thing being kicked around right now by the Trump administration is the idea of skipping the disarmament phase. They're looking a little, not looking great at that. And I think for good reason, as you're about to see why. It says UN Security Council adopts resolution placing Gaza under control of U.S.-led board. So point being is we are now the ones managing Gaza. When I say we, obviously the royal we, the government. The UN Security Council on Monday adopted a U.S. proposed resolution that places Gaza under the control of a U.S.-led body, dubbed the Board of Peace, for at least 2 years, and authorizes the deployment of an international force to the Palestinian territory that will operate under the watch of the U.S. military. The 15-member Security Council passed the resolution with 13 voting in favor and none voting against. Russia and China abstained from voting, choosing not to use their veto power to stop the resolution. Head of vote, U.S. Ambassador to the UN Mike Walls warned that a vote against the resolution was a vote to return to war. A little concerning. The resolution endorses a 20-point U.S.-Israeli Gaza plan released by the White House on September 29th, which it refers to as a comprehensive plan. The resolution states the Security Council welcomes the establishment of the Board of Peace, or BOP, which will be headed by President Trump. It describes the BOP as a transitional administration with international legal personality that will set the framework and coordinate funding for the redevelopment of Gaza pursuant to the comprehensive plan. The UN resolution says the BOP will remain the authority in Gaza till the Palestinian Authority has satisfactorily completed its reform program. So a reminder that for those who forgot that little detail, that is one thing that in order for this the PA to take over, they need to go through some sort of reform process, which is arbitrarily defined. Though Netanyahu has repeatedly rejected the idea of the PA having a role in Gaza, and whether the PA has reformed enough to take over in Gaza would likely be up to the U.S. and Israel. U.S. initially didn't mention the possibility of a Palestinian state in its draft resolution, but it added a vague mention of one in response to the feedback from Arab states. The resolution states that a path towards a Palestinian state may be possible once the PA makes unspecified reforms, but the Israeli government has been explicit in the opposition to a Palestinian state, and the resolution makes no mention of the Israeli-occupied West Bank, where Israel continues to expand illegal Jewish settlements. The resolution authorizes the BOP's control of Gaza until December 31st, 2027, and leaves open the possibility of the Security Council extending its mandate. So just check that. That means that basically we are on the hook for Gaza. We are the managers of Gaza right now until December 31st, 2027, as things stand right now. Over the next 2 years, the BOP is tasked with overseeing a Palestinian technocratic, apolitical committee of competent Palestinians from the Strip, which will be responsible for day-to-day operations of Gaza's civil service and administration. Obviously, I guess I don't really need to spell it out for you, but I guess for the previous story where I was talking about the idea of the de-weaponization or whatever. Obviously, if we're taking over this, it is kind of like now if you're also thinking, oh, we're also going to be part of the demilitarization or whatever, well, you're asking for war. So, I mean, this already is fucking rough that we're going to be running things. I mean, maybe at the least we can get to not an attempt to rile things up further. I don't know. I'm not too hopeful here. The resolution also authorized Security Council member states working with the BOP to establish a temporary international stabilization force in Gaza to deploy under unified command acceptable to the BOP. The U.S. Central Command has established a military outpost in southern Israel to oversee the ISF. According to Israeli media reports, the U.S. may build a large base on the Gaza border to house international troops. The ISF is supposed to work with Israel and Egypt on the demilitarization of Gaza, but Hamas has repeatedly rejected the idea of disarming without the establishment of a Palestinian state, and countries willing to send troops to Gaza don't want to be involved if it means fighting Hamas on behalf of Israel. In response to the resolution being passed, Hamas said that it would consider the ISF a party to the conflict if it were tasked with disarmament. So that, to my earlier story, so they're literally, Hamas themselves is saying like you're considered a hostile actor if you're essentially becoming a party to disarmament, essentially, which is, I guess, makes sense if you're trying to take away people's guns. I mean, I think it's pretty fair to be like, yeah, that's the enemy right there. Signing the international force with tasks and roles inside the Gaza Strip, including disarming the resistance, strips it of its neutrality and turns into a party to the conflict in favor of the occupation, Hamas says. According to Reuters, the group said the resolution fails to meet Palestinians' rights and demands and seeks to impose an international trusteeship on the enclave that Palestinians and resistant factions oppose. The resolution also provides no guarantees that Israel would withdraw its troops from Gaza, as it says the IDF will only leave once the ISF is deployed and Israel has agreed that certain standards, milestones, and timeframes linked to demilitarization have been met. Israeli troops currently occupy more than 50% of the Gaza Strip. Moving on, as Israel keeps killing Palestinians, Tlaib leads bill recognizing war on Gaza as genocide. This is from Brett Wilkins over at antiwar.com. I just thought it was interesting that we actually have a bill going on right now, which, I don't know, let's read through this. We'll find out to what degree this is just symbolic or something, which just sounds like it, but hey, it's something. Rashida Tlaib and 20 Democratic colleagues on Friday introduced legislation that would officially recognize Israel's 25-month war on Gaza as genocide, a move that came as Israeli forces continued killing Palestinians in the coastal strip and violating a tenuous ceasefire with Hamas. Tlaib, the only Palestinian American in Congress, announced Resolution 876, which, if passed, would officially recognize that the state of Israel has committed the crime of genocide against the Palestinian people of Gaza, and affirmed that it is official U.S. policy to prevent and punish the crime of genocide wherever it occurs. The Israeli government genocide in Gaza has not ended, and it will not end until we act, Tlaib said in a statement Friday. Since the so-called ceasefire was announced, Israeli forces haven't stopped killing Palestinians. So that's it. We got that going on. I mean, it sounds like, once again, this sounds just like symbolic, but I think this could be significant. We'll see. I don't know what the votes on the ground are. I doubt this will get through, but hey, it's something. Meanwhile, in the halls of power over in Israel, we have Ben-Gvir calling for the killing of Palestinian Authority officials if the UN backs Palestinian state. Remember how we were just talking a minute ago, how this whole disarmament process, and even then they want like a de-radicalization process or a reform process or whatever for the PA, which is the leadership over in the West Bank. And there seems like they're trying to make sure this doesn't happen. And here they are. But we'll just go ahead and read this piece from David Camp. Ben-Gvir has called for the assassination of PA officials and for PA President Mahmoud Abbas to be placed in solitary confinement if the UN advances the recognition of a Palestinian state. Palestinian state of the invented people who call themselves Palestinian must never be established, because the aspiration of those seeking to establish such a state is to build it on the ruins of the state of Israel, Ben-Gvir said at a meeting of his Jewish Power Party, according to the Times of Israel. If they accelerate recognition of a Palestinian terror state, orders must be given for targeting killings of senior Palestinian officials who are terrorists in every respect, as well as an order for the arrest of a Mahmoud Abbas. There is a solitary confinement cell ready for him in Ketziat prison, he added. I just can't emphasize enough how fucking insane this is. This is literally, we are in the midst of a deal going back and forth, and like as I just laid out for you, as this part of this ongoing deal, one of the leadership that's supposed to take over at some point is the PA, after undergoing some extensive reform process of some sort that to which they're supposed to be like okay with. And we have Ben Gvir on the other side saying that, hey, if they keep pushing forward this idea, that we're going to have to call for these people to get fucking murdered. Targeted assassinations. Just insane. Just absolutely insane. All right, moving on to Somalia. The last foreign policy story for today. Just a little check-in on where things are at. The U.S. has launched a bunch over in Somalia, a bunch of airstrikes. This time we have civilian reports, civilian death reports. And we're getting really, really, really close to that triple digits. So the U.S. has launched at least 5 more airstrikes in Somalia in recent days as the Trump administration continues to bomb the country at a record pace. A heavy U.S. air war that receives virtually no American media coverage. According to press releases from U.S. AFRICOM, the U.S. launched airstrikes targeting al-Shabaab in southern Somalia on November 11th, 13th, 14th, and 15th. Unverified reports on social media suggest that another U.S. airstrike was launched in the area on Sunday, November 16th. The command also announced one strike on November 10th that targeted the ISIS affiliate in Somalia's northeastern Puntland region. One of the strikes against al-Shabaab were launched in the northeast of the port city of Kismayo. According to al-Shabaab's news agency, Shahada news agency, a U.S. and Somali government attack on the town of Jamame on Saturday killed 12 civilians, including 8 children, 3 women, and an elderly man. The Shahada news agency published photos of dead and wounded children that it claimed were killed in the attack, which is said involved airstrikes and artillery strikes in the civilian area. Baidoa Online, a Somali media outlet, also reported civilian casualties in a suspected U.S. airstrike in Jamame, saying 10 were killed, including 8 children. Witnesses say homes and businesses were destroyed during the strikes. The U.S. military usually targets suspected al-Shabaab positions in the region, but previous operations have occasionally resulted in civilian casualties, Baidoa said in a post on X. Other posts suggest the strike may have occurred on Sunday, not Saturday, as reported by al-Shabaab's news agency. AFRICOM offered no other details. Yada, yada, yada. Let's see where we're at. We're at 96 now. We're up to 96. We're almost to triple digits. Obviously, I'm not wishing for more deaths, but it is nuts to continually see the number tick, 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 tick up, each one being a record over in Somalia. Previous record was 63, and that was actually Trump back in 2019. We're up to 96 in this year, and I guarantee you most people that you walk into the street probably don't even know there are hostilities occurring in Somalia. So isn't that great? Isn't that great? All right, let's roll through the chat. Let's keep saying our good mornings. Then we'll get into the main topics. Be sure to hit those like button. Help a brother out. Let's go on and get into the chat. Let's see what you guys have to say. Tom33 says, thought the Matt thing was while he was married. If not, then I care less, to be honest. I'm not entirely sure, Tom. I thought it was when he was unmarried, but I might be wrong. So, Jared says, to join the club, you must do gay stuff. It's how they roll. PJR, Trump is most likely bi partying at Trump for Studio 54. 100%. Definitely think they're doing gay stuff. Fire Pixie agrees as well. Nevsky says cartel son is just an idea, and Trump is going after CIA soldiers in Venezuela. Okay. Sure. What's up? Okie dokie. Mustache says kids is the level above. According to Kathy O'Brien, Clinton preferred boys to girls. Perhaps. I'm not sure. Nevsky says Trump is exposing the CIA as being involved in drug trafficking. I guess that's one way to look at it. Sure. All right. Let me see what else we got. Good morning, Teddy Scott. Good morning. Good morning. More J facts from Mustache in the chat as always. Malay's grandfather last name was Milikowski, like BB's. Just J's everywhere. Yep. What else we got in here? Good morning, Black Eye. Good to see you here. Hope it's nice over there in Australia where you're at. Hit that like button, please. So only 20 in the chat. There was a bunch of y'all in there. I know you can bump that number up for sure. Hit that like button, whatever it takes, or else I'm going to keep stealing water, like PJR says. Good morning, aggressively agreeing. This is Ben Gvir after listening to an Adolf Hitler speech. Hold my beer. 100%. All right, let's get into the main topics. Let's get into the craziness of the Trump administration. I did my best. For the most part, what we're about to go through right now is for the most part in chronological order. Just go ahead and let you know this. I think there's one that's out of order, but it's irrelevant that's out of order. But it's been I haven't had it on a dump with you guys since last week, since Friday. And a lot has happened since then. I know it was Friday, I forget exactly what day the shutdown was basically over, but we basically have the Adelita Grayalva signing. They tried to get, I think we covered this last week, so I think we got to the point where they tried to get some of these people. We were a little bit concerned Nancy Mace was going to get shook out. They were going to fucking, like, hey lady, I know you're doing some crazy fake rape accusations, so we can do this the easy way or the hard way. We thought maybe some wild shit like that, or they were somehow appeal to the loon inside and, manipulate the crazy broad, or I don't know, Boebert always seems like one with kind of big eyes and political aspirations, so it's like they tried to squeeze her, nothing worked. And just so they had to sit within the weekend. But here's the first of kind of in the procession of, I guess you could say, changes of position, or not changing, but news, I guess. Here's Trump. He says, here's a Truth Social from over at Trump, one of the truths. Says, now the Democrats are using the Epstein hoax involving Democrats, not Republicans, to try and shut down their disastrous shutdown, or to try and deflect from the disastrous shutdown and all of their other failures. I will be asking AG Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice, together with our great patriots of the FBI, to investigate Jeffrey Epstein's involvement and relationship with Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman, J.P. Morgan, Chase, and many other people and institutions, to determine what was going on with them and him. This is another Russia scam with all arrows pointing at the Democrats. Records show that these men and many others spent large portions of their life with Epstein and on his island. Stay tuned. So we got Trump now. This is on, was it the 14th, Friday? So this is on Friday. You got Trump saying, "Oh well, now we're gonna open investigation. I'm gonna ask Pam Bondi, my AG. We're gonna open investigations. We're gonna start investigating some of these lefties." Which, like, hell yeah, dude, fuck yeah, we're gonna. Well, I'm going to go ahead and I've heard this thrown out a little bit already. For one, a little bit of a pivot. What's going on here? Seems like we've kind of all picked up that, I don't know, seems like you guys have been pissing and shitting about, oh, no, don't release him, vote for that as, you're traitors, this, Which, I mean, we get some more of that. We're going to get more of that here in a minute. But we got, the Democrats. One thing I've heard pointed out, and I think they bring up a pretty good idea. How many times have you heard that, we can't talk about ongoing investigations? There's an ongoing investigation. You can't actually. We're going to have to turn down your Freedom of Information Act request because there's an ongoing investigation. Excuse me, we can't talk about that. There's an ongoing investigation. You guys see what I'm saying? Ongoing investigation. How many times have we gotten that thing? Hell, we probably won't. I'm not going to cover this today. Maybe one of these other days later this week. Maybe we'll talk some of the crook stuff. But how many times did we go, ongoing investigation by the crook stuff? Hell, I know my buddy Ken, I'm paying attention to him trying to make Freedom of Information Act requests and stuff and getting hemmed up with, ongoing investigation, over and over and over again. Makes me a little bit concerned. I know maybe we're just being a little bit jaded here. Maybe this is really Trump trying to get down to the truth. But I think some of us are a little bit concerned this could be another trick. And I'm not the only one. I think the Epstein survivors don't seem to be much too happy about this as well. Let's hear what one has to say.
It is also not a hoax. We are here as American survivors of a man who used his wealth and power to hurt young girls and women. The world should see the files to know who Jeffrey Epstein was and how the system catered to him and failed us. Emotionally, this process has been distressing. First, the administration said it would release everything and then applauded President Trump for that. Then it fought to release nothing. Now that now that checks and balances of our democracy have worked and the bill is getting passed to release the files, we are hearing the administration say they intend to investigate various Democrats who were friends with Epstein. I beg you, President Trump, please stop making this political. It is not about you, President Trump. You are our president. Please start acting like it. Show some class, show some real leadership, show that you actually care about the people other than yourself. I voted for you, but your behavior on this issue has been a national embarrassment. It is time to take the honest, moral ground and support the release of these files, not to weaponize pieces of the files against random political enemies that did nothing wrong, but to understand who Epstein's friends were, who covered for him, what financial institutions allowed his trafficking to continue, who knew what he was doing but was too much of a coward to do anything about it.
Yeah, none too happy. I think I find myself in agreement with her. Moving on. Here's David Benner. By the way, he has what's the name of the show? The Liberty Vault. You can go check out his YouTube channel. He has like clips type stuff. Gives usually a little bit of commentary along with it. But yeah, here's him sharing another one of Trump's truths. It says him saying, "I'm withdrawing my support and endorsement of Congressman Marjorie Taylor Greene of the great state of Georgia over the past few weeks, despite my creating record achievements for our country, including a total and complete victory on the shutdown, closed borders, low taxes, no men and women's sport or transgender for everyone, including DEI, stopping Biden's record-setting inflation, biggest regulation cuts in history, stopped 8 wars, rebuilding our healthcare, yada, 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 yada. Who fucking cares?" And also, he went and decided to take shots at Thomas Massie. Here's what he had to say here. He said, "Did Thomas Massie, sometimes referred to as Rand Paul Jr. because of the fact that he always votes against the Republican Party, get married already? Boy, that was quick. No wonder the polls have him at less than an 8% chance of winning the election. Anyway, have a great life, Thomas," and question mark. His wife will soon find out that she's stuck with a loser. So we had after kind of going, "Oh, we're going to investigate the Democrats." Hey, isn't that great, guys? Didn't seem to be quite enough for him. He still took the further step to essentially disown Marjorie Taylor Greene and Massie. So, hey, whatever, his choice. Here's what Massie had to say about that. Give me a second. Let me bring up. I have to take it up and down real quick because, of course, StreamYard. Give me a second. Here we go. Let's watch this. Let's see how Massie had to respond.
The president has gone after you in some deeply personal ways. I mean, attacking you over and over again, even attacking you for regarding your wedding, your recent wedding. By the way, congratulations. What do you make of all that? And he's obviously supporting your primary opponents. I mean, what kind of retribution are you facing?
You know, my wife told me, she said, "I told you so. We should have invited Donald Trump. He's mad that he didn't get an invitation." So we're taking it with a grain of salt. He's being a bully or trying to be a bully. And they're trying to beat me here in Kentucky. But here's what's interesting. The people financing this campaign consist completely of 3 billionaires, and they're all in the Epstein class. In fact, one of them is named in Epstein's phone book, not the secret files that the FBI is keeping, but in Epstein's phone book. So it's a small world. Dogs don't bark at parked cars, and we are winning. I'm not tired of winning yet, but we are winning. And not only the speaker, but the attorney general, the FBI director, and the president himself and the vice president, they're taking a big loss this week because after months of fighting, I am winning this week with Ro Khanna. We're forcing this vote, and it's going to happen. I would remind my Republican colleagues who are deciding how to vote, Donald Trump can protect you in red districts right now by giving you an endorsement. But in 2030, he's not going to be the president, and you will have voted to protect pedophiles if you don't vote to release these files, and the president can't protect you then. This vote, the record of this vote, will last longer than Donald Trump's presidency.
All right, and he's right. This is the vote. This is the moment. Now, how are they going to? Are they going to rise to the occasion? It looks like Massey and MTG very well are. Here is a part of MTG's response to this whole thing. Here she is. She says, President Trump just attacked me and lied about me. I haven't called him at all, but I did send these text messages today. Apparently, this is what sent him over the edge. The Epstein files. And of course, he's coming after me hard to make an example to scare all the other Republicans before next week's vote to release the Epstein files. It's astonishing really how hard he's fighting to stop the Epstein files from coming out that he actually goes to this level. But really, most Americans wish he would fight this hard to help the forgotten men and women of America who are fed up with foreign wars and foreign causes, are going broke trying to feed their families, and are losing hope of ever achieving the American dream. That's what I voted for. I've supported President Trump with too much of my precious time, too much of my own money, and fought harder for him even when almost all of the Republicans turned their back and denounced him. But I don't worship or serve Donald Trump. I worship God, Jesus is my Savior, and I serve my district GA14 and the American people. I remain the same today as I've always been, and I will continue to pray this administration will be successful because the American people desperately need what they voted for. For me, I remain America first and America only. Now let's read these tweets. This is to Donald J. Trump. This is a tweet she sent. She says, check the flight logs of Epstein's plane. Bill Clinton is on there 26 times. Hillary, too. For many of us, releasing the Epstein files has always been for the women who were victims of Jeffrey Epstein, but also because we believe that Democrat bad guys like the Clintons were entangled and involved with him. Epstein was the spider that wove the web of the deep state. Lean into it. And then here's one that she sent to her Trump's one of his assistants, Natalie. And then here's her response, to the one person saying the Jeffrey Epstein hoax, in all caps. And this is what MTG had to say. She said, in every single interview I've done, I've defended President Trump. I've said over and over the women say he did nothing wrong, and their attorney says he's the only one who helped. And the Republicans had 4 years to release the files, but did nothing. Stop ignoring the women. Many of them literally voted for President Trump and say so publicly. Them being raped as teenagers is not a hoax. So pretty strong language there. She's not having it, and it seems like Trump's not about it. As a result, here's my buddy Clint saying it's official. Donald Trump is expanding MAGA, attacking MTG and Massey, all to cover up the Epstein files. Mind-blowing. He's going to get impeached, and honestly, I don't care. Well, I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe the Republicans will turn heel. Here's who is this? This is Tim Burchett. Let's see. Maybe a little bit of a new move for the Republicans. Let's see what tact he's trying to take here. Once I bring this back up, here we go. Sorry, of course, StreamYard is acting up. Here you go. All right, let's see what he has to say. Let's check in on Tim Burchett. This is a Republican from, where are you from? You are from, Tennessee. Let's see what he has to say.
Hey, everybody, Tim Burchett. Just left the House floor, and I tried to do a UC, unanimous consent, tried to get the Epstein files, get it straight to the floor, just to cut out all this nonsense. And, and the Democrats blocked it, oddly enough. Now, here they've had it for 4 years, and they obviously, if there's something there about Trump, they would have released it. And now they're all, let's get it out. Well, I just made a motion to bring it straight to the dadgum floor, and they blocked it. So this is politics. It has nothing to do with what's doing what's right. And it's Washington, D.C. to a T. And again, they ought to be ashamed of themselves, but they're probably not.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll just go and read this. We'll read this. Owen Gregorian. We'll read what he has to say here. He says, this says it all. Democrats blocked the release of the Epstein files. Democrats just proves they never cared about Jeffrey Epstein transparency. They only care about attacking Trump. Representative Tim Burchett tried to cut through the political theater Wednesday by bringing a unanimous consent request to the House floor. His goal was simple: release all remaining Epstein files immediately. By the way, for those who may hear other places or people bring up commentary from Mike Johnson and him talking about how they tried to deal with it, this is what they're referring to. This move by Burchett and others trying to bring this to the floor and do what's called a unanimous consent request is what they tried to do here, and tried to essentially bring it to the floor. Yeah, essentially force a vote, just go right to it. Well, the Democrats blocked it. This is a video message after leaving the chamber. Birchie explained how his goal was to get the Epstein files, get it straight to the floor, just to cut out this nonsense, and they blocked it. He said the Democrats now claim to support transparency, refuse to allow the motion to proceed. So Democrats have been calling for the release of the Epstein files for months, yet when given the opportunity, they refuse. They don't want the files released. They just want to use them as a weapon against Trump, even though they know there's nothing incriminating about them. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and jump ahead of this. Well, this is a complete and utter fucking bullshit. This unanimous consent thing, what that is a method for them to bypass the vote. And essentially, I mean, I don't know the specific mechanism of how it works, but essentially it's the idea of whenever you have something that is, not contentious, everyone kind of agrees, instead of wasting time in a vote, you move to the next thing. And it would also make it so you no longer have a vote on record. Vote on record. That's what they're doing here. And you know what? I'm all for it. I think, fuck these people. I want them on record, one way or the other. And the reason being is because right at this point in time, the deal was Trump is, I forget how he characterized it publicly, but there's been reports that behind closed doors, it's like, any vote for the release or whatever was, a vote against them. That's why we've had only a handful of Republicans vote this way, despite the fact of what it is. But there's been all sorts of murmurs about how it's the dam's getting ready to break, and now let's move on to the next thing. That just we're in a weird position, especially after all the different releases in the past week or so of the Epstein stuff. It's becoming a feeding frenzy, and it's just as from that Massey clip we played earlier. While these are despicable, disgusting human beings, generally speaking, that we're talking about, them trying to put their name on the protecting of pedophiles, it's going to it's going to be on their record for time immemorial is a tall ask for them, especially as things sit now. A couple weeks ago, a very different story. Today, just go ahead and sign your death warrant. So they're kind of between a rock and a hard place with, do we vote for it? Do we vote against? Well, thankfully, Trump came to the record here. This is what he had to say on the 16th, was this Saturday. So as I said on Friday night aboard Air Force One to the fake news media, House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files because we have nothing to hide. It's time to move on from this Democrat hoax perpetrated by radical left lunatics in order to deflect from the great success of the Republican Party. Including our recent victory on the Democrat shutdown, the Department of Justice has already turned over tens of thousands of pages to the public on Epstein, are looking at various Democrat operatives, Bill Clinton, Reid Hoffman, Larry Summers, etc., and the relationship to Epstein and the House Oversight Committee can have whatever they are legally entitled to. I don't care. All I do care about is that Republicans get back on point, which is the economy, affordability, where we are winning big. Our victory in reducing inflation from the highest levels in history to practically nothing, bringing down prices for the American people, delivering historic tax cuts, gaining trillions of dollars of investment into America, a record, the rebuilding of our military, securing our border, deporting criminal illegal aliens, ending men in America and women's sports, stopping transgender for everyone, and so much more. Nobody cared about Jeffrey Epstein when he was alive, and if the Democrats said anything, they would have released it before a landslide election victory. Some members of the Republican Party are being used, and we can't let that happen. Let's start talking about the Republican Party's record-setting achievement and not fall into the Epstein trap, which is actually a curse on Democrats. Not us. Make America great again. So now we have a full-on 180 from the Trump administration going, just kidding, just kidding. I think they should vote for this. I don't really, what do you guys, why, yeah, of course they should vote for it. Yeah, like this is how we've always been. Keep in mind, looks a little bit like a complete and utter 180. Looks like the writing was on the wall. Looks like somebody knew what was up and didn't want to have to deal with the entire Republican Party basically turning on them in an extremely, extremely public fashion. So, Interesting. What does this mean? Is it less of a big deal depending on the way these guys vote? Interesting. All right, let's move on. Let's hear from the man himself. Let's see what he has to say. Let's watch this.
Here's what I want. We have nothing to do with Epstein. The Democrats do. All of his friends were Democrats. You look at this Reid Hoffman, and you look at Larry Summers, Bill Clinton, they went to his island all the time, and many others are all Democrats. All I want is I want for people to recognize the great job that I've done on pricing, on affordability, because we brought prices way down, but they're going way lower, on energy, on ending 8 wars and another one coming pretty soon, I believe. We've done a great job. And I hate to see that deflect from the great job we've done. So I'm all for it. You know, we've already given 50,000 pages. You do know that. Unfortunately, like with the Kennedy situation, with the Martin Luther King situation, not to put Jeffrey Epstein in the same category, but no matter what we give, it's never enough. You know, with Kennedy, we gave everything and it wasn't enough. With Martin Luther King, we gave everything and it's never enough. We've already given, I believe the number is 50,000 pages, 50,000 pages. And it's just a Russia hoax as it pertains to the Republicans. Now, I believe that many of the people that some of the people that we mentioned are being looked at very seriously for their relationship to Jeffrey Epstein. But they were with him all the time. I wasn't at all. And we'll see what happens. What I just don't want Epstein to do is detract from the great success of the Republican Party, including the fact that the Democrats are totally blamed for the shutdown. You know, they cost our country hundreds of billions of dollars with that, at a lot of inconvenience. So I'm for I don't. They can do whatever they want. We'll give them everything. Sure, I would. Let the Senate look at it. Let anybody look at it. But don't talk about it too much, because honestly, I don't want to take it away from us. It's really a Democrat problem. The Democrats were Epstein's friends, all of them. And it's a hoax. The whole thing is a hoax. And I don't want to take it away from really the greatness of what the Republican Party has accomplished over the last.
All right, I can't help but at least mention how hilarious. There's already been like multiple people. I mean, not a lot, but I remember seeing a few posts because, you know, with that Adelita Grijalva vote pushing the Epstein discharge into, I believe, the House, there was already people kind of forecasting what they were going to vote. And so there were some people, you know, obviously a lot of people, you know, jumping ahead of themselves to be like, obviously I'm going to vote to release that shit. But there were the few little onesie twosies and being like, I'm voting no, and here's why, or whatever. Giving their explanations. And, you know, obviously it was already hard enough to have to be the establishment hack and go, oh, I'm going to side with Donnie here. And now you're making it even harder. They already signed with it. And not only that they're going to literally, now his public position is going to be, oh, go ahead and do it. So now these people are going to have to completely change course, or otherwise they're just, you know, protecting pedophiles of their own accord. So either way, it's just kind of funny that, just kind of political, political failings on so many levels. It's a very ridiculous thing to have to back off of. All right, let's check in and see what MTG has to say. Once again, this is all kind of in chronological. I figured it kind of mattered. The Massey one, the Massey video was the only thing that was out of place, for those who wonder. I meant to mention that as we went to, but everything else has been chronological. This MTG clip we're about to play was just dropped like this morning. So let's go ahead and see what MTG is. I think they might be doing some sort of press conference or something right now. I'll have probably more info for you guys on that tomorrow, but I think that might have been where that first clip came from again. So they might be doing another one of those little rah-rah get-togethers with victims type thing. But let's see what MTG, the latest from her, and then we'll get ready to move on to our next topic.
That's what we did by fighting so hard against the most powerful people in the world, even the President of the United States, in order to make this vote happen today. I was called a traitor by a man that I fought for 6 years for. And I gave him my loyalty for free. I won my first election without his endorsement, beating 8 men in a primary. And I've never owed him anything, but I fought for him for the policies and for America first. And he called me a traitor for standing with these women and refusing to take my name off the discharge petition. Let me tell you what a traitor is. A traitor is an American that serves foreign countries and themselves. A patriot is an American that serves the United States of America and Americans like the women standing behind me. And I want to tell you that this only became possible today because the American people, whom we serve as representatives here in Congress, demanded that this vote happen, and they put more pressure on every single elected politician in this city than has ever been put on them. And today you are going to see probably a unanimous vote in the House to release the Epstein files, but the fight, the real fight, will happen after that.
All right, and then to kind of finish off this this segment, here is Newswire says Trump's approval rating on the economy falls to 33%. Disapproval rises to 67%. So yeah, we're seeing all sorts of metrics of things coming in. It's not looking great. I see some of y'all coping in the chat. I see some, maybe like onesie twosies of you guys. Not many of you. It's not typically my audience, but well, I don't know if the United States agrees with you. But let's chop up the chat, see what you guys got to say, and then we'll get into our Foolish Fed segment. Show how the J6 pipe bomber story continues to flounder. Get more into the ridiculousness of Cash and his ridiculous beard. But Inevsky says that's exactly why Trump said to stop talking about it, to get the Dems to beg for it when Trump says don't do something, the Dems do it every single time. I mean, I guess I can't say you're wrong, sure, Inevsky. This could just be 8D chess of Trump being, this was intentionally getting them to walk into a trap. I mean, it seems too dumb for that to be the case. It seems like so over the top that perhaps that could be the case, but I don't know. We're getting to a level of ridiculousness that I struggle to believe that has anything to do with that. Perhaps. I don't know. Comment Mama saying everything at Dollar Tree is $1.75 now. Things are not going well. Yeah, they're not going great. It's wild. And anytime you look at, I was just talking to my wife, we're at the point where like your typical cheap staples are getting unwieldy, like to where you'll look at things like potato chips or candy bars, which I mean, these are all things you shouldn't be taking anyways, but there's sort of stuff typically we're used to. Like the reason why they're such slop and ubiquitous is because they're cheap. Like they're usually like cheaper items. So they're like, and that's part of why the poors tend to eat like shit is because like the cheap shit is like the shit that's awful for you. Well, now the shit that's awful for you is expensive too. So it's just very, I don't know what the fuck to make of it. It's weird when you see like candy bars for like $3.33 or whatever. You're like, what the fuck? It's getting weird. It's getting noticeable. And I'm someone who doesn't really buy those little type of things or usually notice that sort of stuff. So, good morning, Wise Out. Good morning. Nevsky, you're a silly goose, Nevsky, but all right. Let me see what else we got. Aggressively agreeing says Tim Burchett received AIPAC donations for its uncontested primary election in 2024. Yeah. Lying politicians is shocking, says Uncle Ted, 100%. Good morning, Tower Gang NBC. Good morning. Good morning, Chuck Bam. Rise to Liberty. Jacob saying MLK was a communist. He sure was. He did kind of suck. Good morning, David Moore. He said, Jose, there's a clip of Pierre Thiel talking about forgiveness. This sounds a lot like pleading. Came out after UHC CEO shooting. Relevant. I don't know. Feel free to tag me, and I'd be open to playing it, perhaps if it's relevant for one of these segments. Good. What else we got here? Good morning, Chadhead. Good morning. Uncle Ted says, guess where Ian Carroll's dad got his start in the 60s? Well, I don't know. You tell me. Laurel Canyon. I feel like I've heard that before. Who knows? Maybe he's faking gay. We'll see. We'll never know. Hey, actually I say we'll see, but we need to get him on this show one of these days. Why not? We'll fucking go online and say, hey, Ian Carroll, going on Jose's show. We'll make it happen. Hey, he's close with Clint. So just who never know. I mean, I've never been the kind of guy that'd be like, hey, Clint or anybody I know, be like, set me up with this. But I'm just saying, if you guys are out there saying it, he sees mutuals, they're like, oh, you're not a nobody. And just saying, make it happen, people. Go out there, say, hey, Ian, go on there. Prove that you're not a Fed. Go on Jose's show. Although I have no strong opinion whether he's a Fed or not. I know everyone thinks he is, but I don't know. Trump said the other day, I don't care what the polls say about me. I think polls are fake. Trump today, all the polls say Massey is going to lose. Yeah, there's no consistent mindset here. Comment Mama says, Jose, we're poor, but we don't eat like shit. No EBT here. Well, now it's at the point where you kind of can eat like shit. That's the poor people are going to start getting fucking ripped because it's like just going to have to eat nothing but like meat or something. So here you go. Wise Luck says in the 50s a candy bar was 3 cents. Holy shit. Yeah, that's pretty wild. That doesn't sound believable. That's ridiculously cheap. All right, let's get into the next topic. Let's get into this flailing J6 story. Here's Julie Kelly. Let's pop in, see what she has to say. She says an attorney representing Blaze Bomber just gave a statement to the Washington Post. Steve Bunnell, an attorney for Shawnee Kirkhoff, voluntarily identified his client by name in a statement to the Washington Post, saying she had been so wildly and falsely accused in recent days on social media that she had to push back. These shameful allegations are recklessly false, absurd, and defamatory. Ms. Kirkhoff categorically denies them, says Ms. Bunnell, a former federal prosecutor. Now, I will say a lot of people in the replies have all pointed out how this guy, apparently the attorney glows or some shit. I don't fucking know. Everyone's like, oh, how'd she get this high-powered attorney? I have no idea. Once again, I'm completely open to glowies being on all sides of this thing, to be very clear. I feel like everyone's like, there's a lot of people that are, pointing out those or saying this is slop bullshit and going, oh, it's almost like this like side-eyed, like, what are you covering for the feds? Like, no, I think the feds did some shit here. I think, if anything, this is probably covering for the Fed, if I had to guess, if there's some sort of, if it's not just boomer slop, essentially, that perhaps there's some angle of trying to be able to obfuscate from the truth, because this is clearly trash. But anyways, kind of the lawyer too, I guess I wanted to get at, for those who aren't aware, I've never sued anyone or anything, but I've just paid attention enough to lawyerly things. I think it's pretty common practice. I don't know, anyone in the chat is a lawyer telling me otherwise. I'm pretty sure it's pretty common practice, especially for lawsuits where there's money involved. Like, everyone's like, oh, this is a high-powered lawyer. And you're like, oh, look, clearly she's a glowy. You're all connected. Is that perhaps? Or perhaps she went to a high-powered lawyer and goes, look at this fucking slam dunk I have. Would you like to make some money? And like, yeah, a high-powered lawyer, but okay, cool. I'm going to sue one of the, the Blaze, Glenn Beck, one of the biggest, social, influencers out there in the world. Hell yeah. Sounds like, why wouldn't I want to cut my teeth on this if it's a slam dunk? So I don't know. To be fair, who knows? Maybe there's just some glowies working together doing whatever the fuck. But just seems like a weird jump when it's like, or it could just be this is a slam dunk case, and so she got good representation. Once again, who fucking knows? At the end of the day, though, this seems to be trash. Kind of more pointing towards this. I guess before we kind of get into more of the slop, I thought I'd point this out. I guess come a little bit to the aid of a friend here, BX. We had Kyle Seraphin went back on Alex Jones's show, and I guess he's once again is using this platform as an opportunity to completely shit on BX over, I think, what is ridiculous stuff. We'll get into it. Let's see what he has to say, and then we'll read what we'll go ahead and let BX give her take, because I feel like it's pretty unfair the way Kyle's been treating BX through all this. Let's watch this. 1 second. Of course, audio's jacked up. Give me a minute.
We've had this ongoing beef about it. She basically thinks.
1 second. Let me try that again. Sorry, the audio got all glitchy. Here we go. Now let's try it.
So it did the same thing to Tucker, and then the second tweet they did, what they were trying to basically poke up, was this crazy gal that you've had her on to, and we've had this ongoing beef about it. She basically thinks the thing she's discovered is much bigger than it is, and she thinks that its national prominence or international sort of relevance is way higher than it actually is. And then the FBI went and boosted that. This is a former OnlyFans model who's now hunting down child pornography. I was talking to Steve Friend this morning on my podcast, and he goes, just for your awareness, 100% of the child pornographers that you get an excuse from say that they were doing research on child pornography. It's a super dangerous thing to touch. That's why they let federal law enforcement do it. And if you want to go out and find child pornographers, go into law enforcement. There's actually a role for it. You can get dispensation to go find bad guys. If you're a private researcher, you're walking on a line that's going to end up in a federal prison if they do their job. So
even when I had the Democrats try to set us up with child porn, I couldn't I told the crew, we're not looking at it because we're not even going to defend ourselves.
All right. Well, this is these may seem like disparate things, but I believe Kyle he's kind of, from my understanding, inserted himself somewhat into this pipe bomber story. Although he kind of was in it from the jump. Like, he was actually on my show like a year or two ago, talking about some of this stuff because he claimed he was one of the initial people hunting down the pipe bomber while he was still in the FBI, and then like he got told to get taken off and yada yada yada, and he has some claims that are very much held up on a trust me bro, which, to be fair, given his position, it's a little bit more it's more than just a trust me bro. It's a trust me bro from somebody who would probably know or be in a position to know. So it's a little bit more than a trust me bro. But I need something corroborating. To which it seems like Steve Baker came in for that one to be this perception of a corroboration here. I know that they're talking about a separate thing here, but they're bringing up an old side beef with BX. Now, BX kind of jumped in the fray in this recent thing, obviously to point out how trash Kyle and Baker have been throughout this ordeal. But this is essentially Kyle bringing up old beef in relation to BX, in relation to 764, which has kind of been probably BX's biggest thing that she's really dug into. But I figured to let her read her thread to kind of let her, come to her own, defense here, and I'll read it for her. This is what she has to say. She says, "When I met Alex, I thought he was the nicest guy ever. I'm an Austin native, and I grew up listening to his show with my dad. Being in his show was one of the coolest moments of my life. My whole family talks about it. To see him allow Kyle Seraphin to come on his show and defame me and openly accuse me of viewing child pornography and committing federal crimes while downplaying the international significance of the 764 child exploitation network is a huge disappointment." Now, I'm pointing that out because, real quick, for one, this beef is important. I know it seems like a side tangent, but this is where Kyle inserted himself with BX, where their beef started, where she was one of the people looking into 764, this weird online organization preying on children, and she inserted herself there and kind of brought, she brought eyes to the situation to kind of, and as a result, the FBI did end up, actually jumping on this and seemingly, I think they are partially responsible for it starting in the first place, but hey, it's something. And then Kyle, for some reason, had an issue with this, thought it was stupid, yada, yada, yada. Now, this was early on before it had been kind of picked up by the FBI as it stands now. So, and it was like early in the Trump administration. So perhaps maybe there's a little bit of a sensitivity in that, like, for some extent, you're kind of shitting on Kyle's FBI while he was in. I don't know. I don't know why he felt so strongly and the need to insert himself there. But he also did once again feel the need to insert himself in another situation. Kind of been a little bit of a bloviating asshole through this. And once again dredging up this old beef with him and BX. Let's keep going. I know I shouldn't have to defend myself from such ridiculous claims, but for the record, I do not seek out or view any child pornography whatsoever. I'm also the victim of this group, having been threatened and harassed incessantly, and am listed as a victim in several open FBI investigations. To which I will go ahead and I dabbled a little bit in the 764 territory, and even I got death threats from 764. I didn't really care. I was kind of like, whatever. They'd pop up in my live chat occasionally. For all I know, there's one right now. It seems like as soon as you mention them, there's like usually one or something shows up. They kind of disappeared after a while because they would show up in my live chats. I'd call them a faggot, and that was that. And just kind of go, haha, you're ridiculous. But yeah, this is a thing, and I didn't at all make it to, take on the sort of like put the cross on my back to the extent BX did here at all. So it's totally believable that as well. More than that, I'm just a normal mom who hoped to share the opinion or share the information that would help parents prevent their kids from becoming victims. That's literally it. The person attacking me and saying my message isn't valid on a platform as big as InfoWars is atrocious. I'm going to log off for a bit. Says, I don't even make any money off this. I do it because I truly care about educating parents, because it's fun to get pedos arrested. I try hard to be a good person. It's crazy how demoralizing it is to exist as a normal, truthful person in this shark tank. Now, I don't think she did address it in here, but she's addressed it other places too. They think he called her kind of like a hoe or some shit in here, which I mean, who knows? Maybe there's some hidden, horror work shit of some sort that I don't know of. But this claim has been this like weak thing where I think she's shown this clip before. I've seen it elsewhere. I don't have it bookmarked, so you can dig it onto your own. I think one time she wore a sort of, a semi-sexy nurse outfit for a stream, which I think she even tried to say that it was like wasn't even the right one. It wasn't supposed to be like that. whatever. It wasn't some like, it's not like she's taking tips to show her cooter or anything, as far as I'm aware. No, I've never been known that. So it's pretty gross, particularly, I think, this sort of behavior from Kyle. I don't know what it is. He's even more unhinged. This is him being semi-hinged on Alex Jones. I don't know. I don't really entirely get it. The whole BX thing, the why he feels the need to disparage her name to that degree. But moving on, let's check in on what other dumb shit he said. Let's check in about 21 minutes in this interview to see what this guy had to say. Use your little listening ears and see if you notice anything. We'll go over it here in a second together, and I'll make sure you guys got the proper takeaway, because something pretty fucking big was revealed here to go back to this interview. Let's see what Kyle had to say. Let's check in. Pretty substantive thing for him to say in relation to this whole J6 bombing thing. So let's watch this.
Person had the right sort of limp and gait. The person might have the right sort of ideology to go along with it. The person had the right build. That person is unaccounted for during that time frame. Wouldn't you be like, wow, I'm
Let's be clear.
hyper-curious.
They gave the investigator access to one of the NSA subsidiaries to run the gate biometric scan, and now they want to fire those people. So it's not like they just said, oh, it looks like the same walk. This was use U.S. government AI systems.
Yeah, well, actually, outside of U.S. government systems, but yes, that if like high-level, next-generation, gate analysis stuff was what was being done. As
when I say government, the contractors are the government.
Exactly. Yeah, well, that's right. Okay, so all of that being the case, would you not have a natural curiosity?
You guys catch that? Are you guys laughing? Because you should be. If you're the sort of conspiracy nerd that I am. You should be laughing. Let's one more time. Just one more time. That was what, maybe 30 seconds? You guys could get it. See if you catch that. Let's watch this again.
That person is unaccounted for during that time frame. Wouldn't you be like, wow, I'm hyper-curious.
They gave the investigator access to one of the NSA subsidiaries to run the gate biometric scan, and now they want to fire those people. So it's not like they just said, oh, it looks like the same walk. This was use U.S. government AI systems.
Yeah, well, actually, outside of U.S. government systems, but yes, that is like high
outside of U.S. government systems
level, next generation, gate analysis stuff was what was being done. As
when I say government, the contractors are the government.
Exactly. Yeah, well, that's right. Okay. Okay, so all of that.
Okay. Sorry, that's hilarious. All right, just for those who didn't pick up how fucking the colossal blunder, the epic retardation here. I'll just go and spell it out for you. Here's Ken. He says, 21 minutes. Alex says Steve Baker had an NSA contractor run the gate recognition for him. Kyle insists it was outside of government, but Alex says being a contractor is the same thing as government. Says Kyle's reaction so funny. I'm pretty sure Alex wasn't supposed to reveal that. Yeah, he shares this photo. Pain is what he says. Pain indeed. Pain. Well, if you didn't quite get it, let me lay it out even furthermore. I said, this is it, guys. Blaze's J6 Piper bomber story. Government hands Steve Baker or Kyle Seraphin a paper that says stuff, and yes, sir, reporting for duty. So that's what you're getting. Let's give, I guess, a little bit more of a, let's lay it out a little bit better. Kind of, once again, we'll go back to Julie Kelly. She gives a good summation of how this story fell apart. Let's see what she has to say. Let's check in a little bit more than just the one specific minutia here. Let's go take a step back. So here she goes. 1 week ago, America and the world woke up to what had been described as the biggest scandal of a lifetime. Since then, the article at The Blaze has been edited, corrected, and updated at least 4 times. The main reporter has gone dark. Not a single interview since the bombshell was published last Saturday. And the story's main voucher has changed his account of the circumstances surrounding the FBI's brief surveillance of the Blaze bomber's neighbors several times. At least one GOP lawmaker has deleted a tweet about the Blaze bomber and the story's biggest cheerleader in Congress. Tom Massey told NBC News he doesn't know every detail of the story. The Blaze bomber is lawyered up, hiring a former Obama-era DOJ/DHS official as her defense attorney. He has given at least 2 statements on behalf of his client denying the Blaze's allegations and suggesting a defamation lawsuit is forthcoming. This looks more and more like one of the biggest journalistic blunders of all time, rather than a political scandal set to rock the Trump administration and the nation. Let's check back in on how they characterize this initially. Like a week or two ago? Let's just reevaluate how far the mighty have fallen.
I think it is the biggest scandal of my lifetime. There is a major development in the January 6th pipe bomber investigation. Blaze News has the exclusive. Its lead suspect is at the highest levels of government. And Steve joins me now. How long have you been working on this story?
I've been pulling the threads on this for exactly 4 years.
If anybody ever wondered why they made such a big deal out of arresting Steve, this is why.
I was so shocked by what I saw, I immediately took it to a source in one of the most important, highest level investigative federal agencies in the country. And I said, you have to see this. After they looked at it for about 2 hours, the response that I got back was, holy F, she's one of us.
And when you find out the position, this now will implicate so many people at the highest levels. What's your confidence level in this story?
I can give you forensic estimates, the analysis of the hoodied bomber on the evening of November 5th compared to the gait analysis of this individual in private life and at work. The actual software hit at a 94% accuracy. Then human analysis from the experts in intelligence is much higher. They've looked at it and went, my God, that's it. Got it.
In a world not gone mad, this would be a best-selling book and a major blockbuster movie. When it all comes out, this is going to involve everybody. I mean, this is really bad. Really, really bad. This apparently just has to be done right because of national security, I'm gathering. Is that right?
That's correct.
And so they've got to take care of things they've got to take care of. Then the story will be released.
Well, it looks like they're about to get their asses sued to high heaven. So I don't know. I don't know what this means for the Blaze. Did we functionally just get the Blaze taken out? I'm not particularly all upset about it. I don't know. They've had some people, commentators here and there, they're like, okay, hit or miss. So is it some great big loss? I don't know particularly. I don't know, something up will rise up in its stead, but man, not a good look. All right, moving on to more foolish Fed nonsense, continuing with this embarrassing trend. Apparently, Alexis Wilkins has been given an FBI security detail. This marks the first time a girlfriend of a high-ranking FBI official has received such protection while not sharing a residence. At the same time, Elijah got doxxed, had to move. And then also one of his operation manager has been deemed a national security threat, and his personal security. So they have literally, oh shit, I didn't mean to click that. You can literally see on this ticket he took, you can see the SSSS just denoting that they are, I don't know exactly what that stands for, but denoting some sort of security threat of some sort. I guess at least they should count themselves lucky they're still able to fly. They haven't gone quite that far with making fun of the FBI's, gay girlfriend. I mean, totally real girlfriend, his beard or whatever. So, yeah. Informed we will be detained. Oh, geez. Holy shit. I didn't catch that part. And apparently he said that Elijah, when they realized this, they were informed that they would be detained by DHS upon re-entry. So this is what Elijah Schaffer has to deal with after being sued by the girlfriend of the director of the FBI, who is now being given a security detail that includes some sort of FBI unit. Seems a little ridiculous to me. All right, moving on. More screwy Fed stuff. Check this out. This one kind of speaks a little bit for itself. A little bit of a side turn into a different story. But kind of keeping an eye on the Kirk stuff. Here's a little tangential thing on that. And I know we the other day kind of were going on about the McCoys and how they glow and the like. So let's watch this.
I think the material Rob McCoy has posted on YouTube is the single most damning thing that exists today when it comes to Charlie Kirk and what happened to him. Because everything Rob McCoy says today is conditioned in many ways on Charlie Kirk not changing his mind from what Rob McCoy says it is. Now, today, Rob McCoy's pastor suit is featuring what looks like Navy garb. Looks like a Navy getup. Looks like he's on a sailor boat. Rob the Sailor Man. Now, let me get to this real quick because I think this is an absolutely critical moment in the decision to neutralize Charlie Kirk. I just want to set this up because I have put so much research into the Calvary Chapel phenomenon and Rob McCoy's role in it, and it is wild. It is wild.
Other things, and you saw.
Have they pulled the video? No.
For those who are listening, this guy, Barron, he was watching the stream, and as he was watching it, just disappeared. It says, video not available. The only way you can really do that is if, I guess, obviously, if YouTube pulled it, or if you have to go into your, like, YouTube, managing studio, or whatever the fuck it's called, and you got to delete it and do all that. So you got to manually do that shit.
You are kidding me. Do you see what I see? Ladies and gentlemen, while we're on air, they have marked the video private. The guilty fleeth when no one pursueth. You are kidding me. The guilty fleeth when no one pursueth. This is, without a doubt, the largest admission that I've come across yet in the Charlie Kirk mystery. I cannot believe what we just watched live. And if they think this is going to make them look good, they're out of their mind. This is absolute insanity. And I tell you what it's done. This has put in my belly a fire like I have not felt in a long time. This has put in my belly a deep burning to continue the road that I'm on. Because if Rob McCoy thinks I'm going to let off because he's deleting sermons or downloading them or marking them private, if he thinks that's going to get me to back off, he doesn't know what I already have. He doesn't know how much research I've done. This is unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen.
By the way, I listened the other day, I think it was Ian Carroll. I think he went and found the stream that Barron got that got deleted. I think he found it in like a podcast form or something, so it wasn't like they hadn't deleted it or whatever. And even then, like as soon as he started playing on his stream, I guess he started having weird bot attacks or something. Anyways, the content in there is, I mean, you can go check it on Ian's. I mean, I don't really know how to describe it other than it's like it's this weird like religious manipulation is what that sermon is. It's like a sermon of like, I mean, I don't remember when it was from or whatever, but it was very much one of those like, for example, like the idea of like digging the truth for Charlie. It's like, well, now is the time where we need to come together as brothers and, not trying to be divide, but, bring together. For in Corinthians 1:4-22, it says, be ye not distracted and be whole of a mind, or together one, and yada, yada, yada. Like, it's that sort of shit. He's literally handpicking verses out in order to support some vague notion of the thing that he wants now, which clearly is something you probably could have easily have handpicked out another verse that said the opposite. The verse that he's looking at probably may not even have anything to do with what the fuck he's talking about either. Like, it's one of those type of situations, using the religion to manipulate the situation. Very creepy. You can kind of see some of the political posturing occurring in that like you would think someone would use for the sort of, I don't know, how am I trying to express this? I'm trying to say, to kind of set the stage for whatever they're trying to do going forward. So I don't know if maybe it's one of those things. I don't know why they deleted it. I don't remember seeing anything like that was like a slam dunk in there. Maybe not sure exactly what, but either way, still a weird look at the very least that things are being deleted in this manner. All right, guys, let's pop in the chat. And then we'll get into our last topic of the day. I have a few little Epstein tidbits to go through, some interesting, fun little things, digging into his past and some of the wild, crazy, I don't know, the ways in which he was able to manipulate the world stage. It's just utterly unbelievable the more we dig into it. Good morning, Matt Burns. He says, Tim Burchett's first day on the job in D.C., he was flown to Israel immediately. I overheard him telling a mutual friend in Knoxville, Tennessee. I believe it. Marnamax says Five Below is pretty much Seven Below now. There are only a few things that are still $5. Yeah, it's wild. The penny hadn't been actual copper since the early 80s. But yeah, I guess that's the thing. Actually, they're starting to get ready to discontinue pennies, I believe. So we may actually want to start collecting your pennies, people. Shree's Doom Goblin says, anyone see the interview with Saudi Prince and Trump when a reporter asked questions about the slain journalists and 9/11 connections to Saudis? What a beautiful moment when their smug faces change. I don't think I've seen that one. Ted Hitchcock says Kyle isn't a Fed anymore, but he's still an arrogant douche at times, like he wishes he was still FBI. Yep. Good morning, Bug Fights. Yeah, how long have we been rolling? We're about hour 40. We're getting ready to knock out our last segment and be done for the day. What else do we got? Good morning, Eris Legacy. Good morning. Swedish Jim Goblin says everyone needs to look up former FBI Chief Ted Gunderson's testimonies on sexual or satanic, assault or satanic ritual, satanic abuse. I'm retarded. Satanic child abuse. Might want to look into him. Yeah, we've talked about him plenty on this show. Ted is a frequent. Is he glowy? Is he not? I lean towards probably a glowy to some degree, but he did seem to do some good stuff. So it's hard. Uncle Ted says, I love how everyone is in a gag order, yet Kirk's top bodyguard got to go on Ryan CA podcast and talk. Yeah, I saw. Yeah, that is the most recent, one of the more recent Sean Ryan podcasts. The like head guy of security went on there and said, "Oh, we don't have nothing to do. We didn't do nothing. We have nothing to do with anything." I haven't watched the interview, so I don't know if Sean Ryan gives really any sort of effective pushback or whatever. But I don't know. I remember digging into some of Ken's reporting, and there's definitely some stuff that looks a little wild. And I have a feeling that Sean probably did not ask about it, but I guess he said he didn't do nothing, so he didn't do nothing. So let me see what else we got in here. Good morning, Law Morgan. Good morning. Nickels cost 10 cents to make. They're next to go. That's nuts. All right, let's get into the final story of the day. Segment, I guess. Actually, not final story. Figured to start off, I found this particularly hilarious. We talked about, Larry Summers the other day. I think there might have been actually a couple emails. I know there was one email. I don't remember if I read this to you guys or not, but there was one email about something to do with somebody was talking to Epstein, asking for his advice about how to woman problems or something, although he was married, so it was given the context, he clearly was asking Epstein on how to manage his affair, so it didn't look good on him. But here is, having these back and forth, these emails. Now, this is a former U.S. Secretary Treasury. He said that he would step back from public commitments after documents showed he asked Jeffrey Epstein for advice in pursuing an extramarital relationship with a female mentee. I just thought that was particularly hilarious. That imagine getting caught in emails going back and forth with Epstein on how you're going to cheat with your wife, and then you have to come out and go, I got to step back from public commitments. What a way to put it. I'm no longer going to show my face in public because you guys caught me talking about cheating with my wife with one of the most famous child traffickers there ever was. So, kind of a fun note to start it off with. Continuing on, here's a great example of the degree of power that Epstein wielded. Here is a video. I'm sure maybe a lot of you guys have already seen it, but revealed in these emails, texts, whatever, back and forth, was a back and forth conversation between one of the representatives for the Virgin Islands, which is where Jeffrey Epstein owned an island at. So I think that might be meaningful. Is that what happens when you buy an island? You get a representative as well. But they were able to perfectly match up the back and forth of this for literally during Congress, a back and forth, literally offering her hints on what to ask next. These hints are acted upon. You can see it in real time. It's absolutely insane. So if you haven't seen this already, go ahead and watch this. Let's watch this together. It says newly released documents reviewed by the Washington Post appear to indicate that during a 2019 hearing where Michael Cohen testified, Jeffrey Epstein was texting with with Stacey Plaskett, who's a Democrat of the Virgin Islands. So this is who he's going back and forth, which I guess it's somewhat worth mentioning. Apparently, the way that their representative system works, with the Virgin Islands people, is they're not able to vote and stuff, but they do have like input and are able to do like essentially what they're doing here. But let's go and play this. The Post reviewed multiple video feeds from the hearing and matched the text, which were sent in Pacific time with the video.
This was when Barack Obama was president.
This is right here. It says text from Jeffrey Epstein, which is sent 1 minute later from the audio we're watching right now. It says, "Are you chewing?"
Of the United States. And while we were once driving through a struggling neighborhood in Chicago,
It says, and now 2 minutes, says sent 2 minutes later, "Not anymore."
he commented that only black people could live that way. Attorney-client privilege, yes, I will turn it over.
You, as my friend Mr. Meadows pointed out, misled this committee even today in a written...
It says, Cohen brought up Rona, keeper of the secrets.
In a written submission that contradicts...
This is text from Jeffrey Epstein. Now it says text from Stacey Plaskett. This is Rona, question mark, question mark.
...your testimony. You have suggested you are going to review that. Are you going to review it in our next break to correct the record, yes or no?
Yes.
This is quick, I'm up next. Is that an acronym?
Question, you helped out the president's campaign or were involved in the campaign as a representative, as a spokesman, even in your words.
It says that's his assistant. That's from Jeffrey Epstein.
Today, it was your idea for the campaign dating back to 2011. Is that accurate, yes or no?
Yes.
Mr. Weisenberg.
All right, now here she is. So keep in mind the things they just said, just back and forth they just had.
And other individuals, Ms. Rona. Who are those individuals? Are they with the Trump organization?
They are.
Are there other people that we should be meeting with?
So Alan Weisselberg is the chief financial officer.
Uh-huh. You got to quickly give us as many names as you can so we can get to them.
Yes, ma'am.
As Ms. Rona, what is Ms. Rona's position?
Rona Graff is Mr. Trump's executive assistant.
And would she be able to corroborate many of the statements that you've made here?
Yes, her office is directly next to his, and she's involved in a lot that went on.
Sorry, it's chewing. And then it says there, the last message, good work from Jeffrey Epstein. So we have in real time Jeffrey Epstein messaging members of Congress in order to get his message pushed through. All right, here's more. Here's Julie K. Brown sharing a tweet from a clip from Shadow of Ezra. We'll give Julie's commentary here in a moment after we play the clip. This is from Epstein biographer Barry Levine. Let's watch this.
On that 2011 email, we'll put it up on the screen, and I will ask you, the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. What do you think he's referring to?
Well, I think Jeffrey Epstein is referring to the fact that he believes that Donald Trump talked to Michael Ryder, who was the Palm Beach police chief in 2004, and began the first investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. I suspect that Jeffrey Epstein, in his conversation or email with Maxwell, was saying he was 75% there, believing that Trump might have been the whistleblower at the time. Again, you have to remember that particular year, the two men had a falling out, not only over the fact that Ghislaine Maxwell was taking young women from his spa at Mar-a-Lago for Jeffrey Epstein, but they also had a nasty real estate deal that both men were trying to get. So there was bad blood between the two of them.
Okay, so it's a combination then of the Trump being the dog who didn't bark and that additional line on that email. We'll put it back on the screen. Police chief, etc. I'm 75% there, meaning he's 75% there to believing that Trump is an informant against him?
That is what I believe based on my research of years of the Jeffrey Epstein story.
Okay, but
you also have to
Barry,
remember that the House Speaker at one point,
Barry, if Donald Trump were an informant, if Donald Trump dropped the dime on Jeffrey Epstein, why wouldn't he today in this climate be shouting it from the mountaintops? I'm the one who put him away.
That's a question that only the president can answer. And again, the Palm Beach police have never said that Donald Trump was an informant. However,
not too long ago, the House Speaker, Mike Johnson, said that Donald Trump was an informant on this particular case. So it is rather confusing.
All right, so they're going with this informant line. They're trying to re-understand this one, the dog that barks or whatever, which I think that might have been the back and forth too, that supposedly where he met with some victim or whatever for hours, and they try to go, oh, that was Ghislaine, and she said nothing happened. So that might be different emails, but either way, once again, noticing the parallel. We showed last week that specific email I'm referring to, and where everyone jumped to, oh, the victim, the redacted victim they're talking about, it's gotta be not Ghislaine, what the hell, why do I always mess up her name? I always want to mix her up with Ghislaine for some reason. Giuffre, Virginia Giuffre. So essentially everyone was like, oh, that's that victim right there, that's gotta be Virginia Giuffre, and she said nothing ever happened, so this is just some trick by the Democrats. Then we covered that, no, that doesn't seem to be the case, because while the Republicans are trying to run with that, we had our buddy Nick Bryant, who kind of broke down the timeline and go, well, that's literally impossible. Like, she's not even in the United States at this point in time. She's doing this elsewhere. So that's not possible. It's just not a thing. Well, then now we have the Epstein biographer trying to recharacterize this one email, trying to make it sound like perhaps what they're getting at is like, oh, well, they actually mean that the whole 75% line, which a lot of people interpret that as like, kind of, I believe the illusion there is that that's Epstein, knowing that like Trump knew or something. Whereas now they're trying to point to like, 75% sure he was the informant or whatever. Seems a little weak, but whatever. But what does Julie K. Brown have to say about this? She says, he did not tip off the police. I interviewed the chief and the lead detective. They were tipped off by a parent. So once again, chipping away at this lore, the idea that, which I think even in the emails it actually got chipped away at some more. The idea of like, I wasn't even a member was one of the emails going back and forth. So this whole lore about, I kicked him out, it seems to be that was almost entirely bullshit. As Julie K. Brown points out, for those who aren't aware of who that is, she is the Miami Herald journalist whose investigation led to the arrest of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. So she's up there with the Nick Bryants of the world, of one of those people that maintain a spot in the initial reporting of Epstein, an important spot. So that's Julie K. Brown for you. Moving on, more crazy revelations from this whole ordeal. I guess more to those who want to say, the Democrats. Well, hey, if they're actually legitimately going to investigate it, let's fucking go. I'm fine with it. If all we get is a bunch of Democrats in prison, hey, it's something, although I think this obviously goes both ways. But here's Jacob Shamsian, he's with a thread, saying Jeffrey Epstein's relationship with Catherine Rumler, the former top Obama White House lawyer, one-time attorney general candidate, and potential Supreme Court nominee who is now the top lawyer at Goldman Sachs, was far deeper than previously known. So now we're seeing this crazy connection to one of Obama's top lawyers. It says Rumler confided in Epstein when a rival law firm tried to poach her when looking for a New York City apartment. And when she was being vetted for consideration as U.S. Attorney General, she also turned to him for minor issues. That's like what it's like to fly Emirates. Here's an excerpt. It says, the newly released emails suggest a deeper relationship between Rumler and Epstein than was previously known. Rumler confided in Epstein when a rival law firm tried to poach her when looking for a New York City apartment and when she was being vetted for consideration as Attorney General. She also turned to him for minor issues, like what it's like to fly Emirates, the airline. When I go to Dubai on Emirates, do I need to go first or is business class good enough given that I only care about sleeping? Rumler asked Epstein after telling him Apple had hired her for a patent lawsuit. Epstein said business is okay, but offered her a ride on a friend's private jet. Rumler said she'd stick with a commercial airline. Said, we've known for years that Rumler met with Epstein in Manhattan mansion shortly after she left the White House. While she was a partner of the big law firm Latham & Watkins, but not much more than that. Says, Rumler came on my radar again in September. The Epstein estate produced a copy of his penultimate will and names Catherine Rumler as a backup executor of his will. Nice. That was pretty weird. How close were they? Jeffrey Epstein trusted Catherine Rumler to manage his $630 million estate. And here it shows an excerpt from his will It says, I appoint Darren K. Indike and Richard D. Kahn to serve as the executors of this will. If any one or more of my executors fails to qualify, is unable or unwilling to serve as or ceases to act, I appoint Kathleen H. Rumler as successor executor. All right, wild. Seems like there's quite a relationship there. The final version of Epstein's will, finalized while he was in jail on sex trafficking charges, had Bill Gates' associate Boris Nikolic listed as the backup executor. This all raises the question, did Jeffrey Epstein ever hire Catherine Rumler as a private lawyer? Some of Rumler's emails released this week are for privilege. Weird. So let's look at some of these emails, which I guess they're saying redacted for privilege, whatever that means. So here's one. It says, the questions we want to reach out to Mr. Epstein for comment are listed below. This is to Martin G. Weinberg from Matt Williams. I guess they're showing where she's redacted in here. Okay, they're showing parts in here, like, for example, here's one in this chain from Kathy Rumler where they redacted something and it put privileged redacted. Privilege. I'm going to look up what that even means. Privileged redacted. See if there's some sort of like term that I can tell. Redacted meaning. Let me see. Redacted meaning. Let's find out. Well, Google's not very helpful there. Privileged redacted. Man, not finding anything quickly on that. How do I I'm trying to see if, sorry, I'm looking through real quick, was skimming through, see if I can find something for that. All right, anyways, they're redacting these things for privilege is for that. I've never seen that one before. Anyone in the chat knows what it is, let me know. I tried to Google it real quick, didn't really help out. So you can see examples of these redactions in these emails. Continuing on. Moreover, Jeffrey Epstein looped Rumler into emails with people we already know who are his lawyers, like Alan Dershowitz, Marty Weinberg, and Ken Starr. And then said Latham and Watkins said Epstein was never a client of the firm. There's also a wild part where, before it was announced that Eric Holder was stepping down, Rumler was talking with Epstein about whether she would accept the job as U.S. AG in the Obama administration. And there are also cryptic emails between Rumler and Jeffrey Epstein appearing to reference Elon Musk and your boy. Oh, that's interesting. Says your boy should distance himself from Trump quick. Rumler sent a context-free message to Epstein. So that's from Rumler. Okay. So it's in July 2018. Your boy should distance himself from Trump quick. Appearing to reference Elon Musk. That's interesting. Makes you wonder about these connections. I mean, there have been, we've covered in this show some of the odd connections between some of these tech overlords. Even Elon Musk himself, I believe it was, his sister or something, or his brother that supposedly went to fucking jiu-jitsu or some shit with him, with Ghislaine. A lot of weirdness there. So looking a little wild, looking like the Democratic, the Obama administration may have been fairly well clicked in there. And I guess just as a final going out here, I thought it'd be kind of interesting to let you guys know that we got magicians mixed up in this, which totally makes sense. Anyone who dug enough into the intel world, magicians always seem to come up, and now is no exception. Here's Amber Speaks Up. She says, according to documents released by House Oversight, David Blaine wrote immigration support letters for at least 2 of Epstein's foreign associates and girlfriends. A celebrity magician quietly acting as an administrative helper for Epstein is a lot to process. He also kept Copperfield close. Epstein was known for exploiting the A1 visa process to keep foreign models and assistants in America. A1 is a non-immigrant visa for individuals with extraordinary ability in fields like science, education, business, or the arts, who must have sustained national or international acclaim, which I believe this is how we got Melania over here, because she's clearly a fucking genius. One of the applications was for Svetlana Poziteva, a Russian model who was often photographed walking the streets of Manhattan with Epstein. She goes by Lana, and this is an undated photo of her in Moscow. Holy shit, that face is terrifying. But yeah, this is one of these people commonly seen out and about with him. Here she is walking New York with Epstein, Woody and gang. So yeah, I don't know. Just thought it was interesting. She claims to have graduated from MGIMO, who she worked as a financial analyst and later became a model after making it to the finals of a Maxim magazine beauty contest. Epstein also traded favors with Sergei Balyakov, then Deputy Minister of Economic Development and later head of the St. Petersburg Economic Forum Foundation, which runs the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum. And it says, note, female escorts from all over Russia are known to attend the forum. And then Balyakov is a graduate of the FSB Academy, which prepares Russian intelligence officers. Balyakov also wrote a letter for her A1 visa process at Epstein's request. So now you see how these two things are coming back together. Russian intel, this broad he's running around with. It says Balyakov clearly valued Epstein, also the A1 visa thing, which David Blaine was helping out with, how we started here. Balyakov clearly valued Epstein since he continued offering his support even after Russia annexed Crimea and became subject to international sanctions. After one of their meetings in spring 2014, Balyakov wrote to Epstein that very few people can open new horizons and prospects the way Epstein could. Epstein believed that Russia could create new currencies pegged to oil or develop smart contracts regulated by computers. In addition, Epstein shared his views on the Russian economy with Balyakov. For example, when in December 2014, the Russian central bank raised its benchmark rate to 17%, Epstein wrote, "Bad advice to raise rates, it sends the wrong side." Balyakov did help with their visa, but that wasn't the end of their dealings. He also planned to arrange meetings for Epstein and Deputy Finance Minister Sergei Storchik and Central Bank Deputy Chairman Alexei Simonovsky. It's unclear whether Epstein ever made this trip. As chairman of the board at SBIF Forum in December 2015, Balyakov worked for the participant list for the fourth Open Innovations Forum. Despite Crimea's annexation and ongoing European sanctions, he wanted major foreign businessmen to attend, so he again turned to Epstein. As chairman of the board of the SBIF Forum in December 2015, Balyakov worked on the participant list for the fourth Open Innovations Forum. Despite Crimea's annexation and ongoing European sanctions, he wanted major foreign businessmen to attend, so he again turned to Epstein. And Epstein comes back with a whole menu of high-profile people he claims he can connect Balyakov with. Nathan Myhrvold, who is an ex-Microsoft CTO, Reid Hoffman, co-founder of LinkedIn, Thomas Pritzker, billionaire head of the Pritzker family, which, that's Pritzker, the Chicago guy. I forget what that one, his first name is. Ehud Barak, former Israeli defense minister. Balyakov basically states, yeah, meeting all of them are great, and specifically singles out Hoffman, which is kind of ironic since Russia banned LinkedIn a year later. Epstein says he'll arrange it. No one knows if any meetings actually happen. So speaking of Epstein's connections, that intro to Ehud Barak was major. Wall Street Journal reported Barak met Epstein dozens of times at his homes in Florida and New York and flew on his jet. In 2015, Barak created the Sum company to invest in the tech startup Carbine, and Epstein supplied most of the money for the shares. Here's a photo of Barak walking to Epstein's Manhattan mansion. So Barak also received about $2.3 million from the U.S.-based Wexner Foundation from research from 2004 to 2006, according to reports when Epstein served on the board. As for the Russian model Svetlana, she launched WE Talks, the world's empowerment project to support female entrepreneurs with Epstein's backing. Epstein's lawyer, Darren Indyke, filed the paperwork to register the WE Talks trademark, and the address entered on the application form was the same as that of the Epstein Foundation. She also lived in Mark Epstein's apartment building in New York City, as many of Epstein's girlfriends and associates did. In the billionaire's death, Positiva changed her lawyer after the death. Only found one event for WE Talks, a check presentation for $10,000, and that's Lana handing the check. So here she is here on the left here. Very pretty lady. You see her holding a $10,000 check. It just kind of seems weird, this upward mobility, all these female entrepreneurs. Look how easy all of this falls in place. Here's another photo of her as a model. And there aren't really many of these as a quote-unquote model. But yeah, I thought this was pretty interesting. This ties together a lot of disparate things, but I think it's particularly interesting. Let's roll for the chat, and then let's get on out of here. I do have a fun outro for you guys today I think you will like, but let's check in on what you guys got to say. Here's Tom33. Says Epstein was stealing Trump's victims, so he blew the whistle. Yeah. Martin Max says Trump killed Epstein. I think that's probably looking more and more like that could very well be the case, honestly. Good morning, Bobo. Good to see you finally again here as we're finishing up for the day. You can go back and watch the replay. Did I cover, Black Eye asked, did I cover the No More Hebrew translations in X? No, I have not. I've seen that come up in a few times here and there. Just a reminder, no one's tagged me in that one, so if that is something you're interested in, tag me in it. If there's stuff you guys think is interesting for the show, tag me. You guys are my eyes and ears out there. I try not to spend too much time on social media. So you guys can be my little news collectors, my little what's going on in the world, my little eyes and ears, my little birds. Tag me online, particularly or preferably Twitter. Give the old @TowerGangJose in the replies for any post you were like, oh shit, this would be great for Icebreaker content. This would be great for foreign policy. This would be great for one of the main topics. This would be great for an outro. Anything like that, tag me in it. I do appreciate it. I use majority of my shit is from you guys tagging me and stuff. So, but yeah, no, I haven't yet. But if you want me to, tag me in some of the stuff. I gladly will. Who else we got in here? Bobo's out of here. Got an appointment. Go do your dad's stuff, homie. Is this saying Epstein was an architect of bricks? I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if he had some part in it. I don't know if it specifically is saying that. Wise Luck says, I thought the H-1Bs are keeping the Marxist college grads out of the bulk of tech jobs. That might not be such a bad situation, though I strongly oppose importing people to American jobs. Yeah, I'm definitely while I'm not an immigration guy per se, the idea of the government subsidizing, exporting or importing foreign people for jobs, no, I don't want them to do that either. I don't want them to subsidize it either way. So yeah, I'm definitely, the H-1B thing does seem to be kind of some sort of fucked up something. We'll probably end up having to cover that on one of these segments one of these days, because Trump's been saying some wild shit about that stuff right now. Although I get what you mean too, Wise Elk, the idea of all these are these college jobs. So you're essentially sort of forcing the Americans out of the market, and you're disincentivizing college, but then you're still enabling it as a thing that exists for foreigners. So I don't know, a little bit weird, because you're allowing your college system just be some hollowed out thing used by foreigners, to which I guess in a certain way, I guess it's good that, our people are avoiding college. Yeah, it just seems fucked all around. Yeah. Law Morgan says, I bet my bottom dollar that Epstein is still alive, and says 80% of the jobs they take are entry level. Trump is a clown. Yeah, exactly. These are all slop jobs for the most part, if I had to guess. The idea that these are actually the majorities are high-level jobs that we need to keep Jeets over here for just seems to not fucking track. It seems a little bit ridiculous to me. All right, guys, let's get out of here. For those who want to support what I'm doing, leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. All the things go a long way. You can help this show out, or you can follow the show on YouTube, Rumble, all the major audio podcatchers, Twitter as well, @TowerGangJose. And if you want to support the show in the best way you can do that with money over at patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. QR code right there. You can see it if you prefer to use that. And like I said, patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. That's the link if you prefer to do it that way. And at the lowest level is $2. That's where you give access to early episodes, usually about 1 to 2 of those per week. Try to keep about 4 behind the paywall at any given time. You get access to early episodes, like I said, just the early episodes there. You also get access to ad-free RSS feed. You get access to Telegram, the pre-show, the post-show, and video calls from me and Austin's weekly live call-in show, Already Dead, which is tonight, Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Give us a call, holler at us there. If I give a big shout out to the highest level of my Patreon every episode. It's a big thank you for everything they do. My previous co-hosts, Entire Gang, @LearnerToad, also @BrigadeDs, @ZOVRCK, @_Infinite Zeal, Tim Tuttle, @JolinClebo, big fan of the show, Torme, @Wayne Techless, 100 Car for Kids, No Free Lunch, Jack, Mark Vestibule, and Jacob Daniel of the Biblical Anarchy Podcast. All right, guys, I will see you all tomorrow, actually tonight at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, and tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern, as long as we're roughly on time. Look forward to seeing you guys there. Enjoy this outro. Love you all. Bye.
On a sucking Bubba's dick, slipping nut like his mother, going guap, guap, guap. On his Arkansas brother, playing that shit like a saxophone. Presidential topic while they all alone. Don't give a fuck about Hillary. Donald Trump blow it up like a War 3. Trump suck, Bill's dick, got his big old belly sick. From the come, clink, ton.